Life is all about making decisions, from getting out of bed until you call it a day. We are constantly making choices and making decisions. Whether it is your personal or professional life, you are often defined by your decisions. Good day, ka-technologists and to Miss Balicoco. My name is Moneva. I am with Miss Demelyn Aniñon and Miss Aquabeellee Pecha. And today, we are going to discuss about what is decision making, its processes, and its importance. In a professional environment, decision-making skills can make all the difference, as they can determine your growth and future career development. Depending on your role in an organization, your decisions can also impact other employees and even the overall image of the business. By honing your decision-making skills, you can create a strong bond with your colleagues and create a harmonious environment around you. What is decision-making? If we have to define decision-making in the context of workplace, it is safe to say that management is nothing but a continuous process of decision-making. In fact, the success of every manager depends largely on her decision-making skills. Such decisions also need to be taken even by managers in government or even social service enterprises where profit is not the criterion of success but the decision-making skills. The decision-making process is a method of gathering information, assessing alternatives, and making a final choice with the goal of making the best decision possible. Using a step-by-step decision-making process, it can help you make more deliberate, thoughtful decisions by organizing relevant information and defining alternatives. This approach increases the chances that you will choose the most satisfying alternatives possible. The importance of decision-making is amply seen in its ability to allow future forecasting. When we make a decision through a systematic process, we can calculate the likely impact of the decision on a business' future growth. By using the correct approaches and ethical decision-making processes, we can evaluate the impact of different choices. For instance, it is important to know whether a decision is long-term or temporary. We can assess the impact that decision might have on people in the organization and whether they will feel happy about it or not. To further understand the importance of decision-making skills, let us take a look at the 7 steps to effective decision-making. Identify the decision, gather information, identify alternatives, weigh the evidence, choose among alternatives, take action, and review your decision. Let's start with the step 1. Step 1. Identify the decision that needs to be done. The first step is very important. You realize that you need to make a decision. When you are identifying the decision, ask yourself a few questions. What is the problem that needs to be solved? What is the goal you plan to achieve by implementing this decision? How will you measure the success? These questions are all common goal-setting techniques that will ultimately help you come up with possible solutions. Of course, it always starts with knowing what is the problem for you to make a decision with solutions. When the problem is clearly defined, you then have more information to come up with the best decision to solve the problem. Once you have identified your decision, it is time for you to gather information relevant to that choice. The second step is gather relevant information. Gathering information related to the decision being made is an important step to making an informed decision. Does your team have any historical data as it relates to this issue? Has anybody attempted to solve this problem before? These are the questions that will possibly help you in gathering information. It is also important to look for information outside of your team or company. Effective decision-making requires information from many different sources. This step involves both internal and external work. You can do an internal assessment. For example, seeing where your organization has succeeded and failed in areas related to your decision. Or you can also seek it through a process of self-assessment. On the other hand, other information is external. For example, you can find it through online, in books, from other people, like consulting with a consultant or talking with colleagues at a different company with relevant experience, and from other sources. With the help of gathering information, it helps your team identify different solutions to your problem.
Good day everyone, this is Demelyn Aniñon. I'm going to represent the steps number 3, 4, and 5. The step number 3 is identify alternative solution. This step requires you to look for many different solutions for the problem at hand. Finding more than one possible alternative is important when it comes to business decision making because different stakeholders may have different needs depending on their role. For example, if a company is looking for a work management tool, the design team may have different needs than a development team. Choosing only one solution right off the bat might not be the right course of action. Next is the step 4, weigh the evidence. This is when you take all the different solutions you've come up with and analyze how they would address your initial problems. Your team begins identifying the pros and cons of each option and eliminating alternatives from those choices. There are a few common ways your team can analyze and weigh the evidence of options. First is the pros and cons list. Second, SWOT analysis. Third, decision matrix. The step 5 is choose among the alternatives. The next step is to make your final decision. Consider all of the information you have collected and how this decision may affect each stakeholder. Sometimes, the right decision is not one of the alternatives, but a blend of a few different alternatives. Effective decision making involves creative problem solving and thinking out of the box. So don't limit you or your teams to clear-cut options. One of the key values of Asana is to reject false trade-offs. Choosing just one decision can mean losing benefits in others. If you can, try and find options that go beyond just the alternatives presented.
Okay, so since we're done talking about the step 5, now let's move forward to the step 6. This is the step which is called take action. This is a step where you are now ready to take some positive action by beginning to implement the alternative you choose in step 5. So the very first thing we need to assure in this step is the previous step that we are taking. It needs to be positive, it needs to be progressive, and it needs to be a satisfying one so that we can move to this step, which is the step 6. This is one of the most important from the 7 steps because in step 6, this is the part where you need to implement already or when you need to apply the action, the decision that you are planning, that you have planned also from the previous steps, from step 1 to step 5. And again, that is the step 6. Okay, so now let's move forward to the last step, which is the step 7. This is a step which is the review your decision and its consequences. In this final step, consider the results of your decision and evaluate whether or not it has resolved the need you identified in step 1. If the decision has not met the identified need, you may want to repeat certain steps of the process to make a new decision. For example, you might want to gather more detailed or somewhat different information to explore in addition for the alternatives also. Okay, so for example, if you think that the decision that you have made from the previous steps are not satisfying or not enough for you, or not more detailed, more informed, or you think that it's not as effective as you thought it would be, so you need to change, and you need to not to continue but to change and make some improvement for the steps that you need to apply. So that's the step 7. Okay, so since we're done talking all the steps, or the 7 steps in making a decision or in decision making, now it's time to give a conclusion. Okay, so therefore I conclude that in decision making, it's not as easy as it would be, or it's not as easy as you thought, because in decision making it needs, of course, decision or plan. It needs a precise and detailed and informed, and of course precise, progressive, satisfying enough, and it needs more patient, it needs more effort for you to succeed the thing that you want to get. For me, in decision making, it is more unpractical and realistic. You need to wake up in the real life situation so that you can also implement a real life solution for those particular situations. And if ever those decisions that you have made is not effective, or if ever you failed from making that particular decision, then it's okay. There's nothing perfect, right? And you can make something new, you can change something if you really want to achieve something also. So that would be all, and thank you.